दीप प्रज्वालन हो रहा है सर. नमस्ते. We welcome you virtually, sir. Vidyarthi sir, Vice Chancellor, Bikaner University, and Arjuna sir, welcome you.
Dear colleagues, I see Dr. Bipin Jha also from Haryana, Central University, Haryana, and many more.
That's one thing which is not being dealt, which is not being.
The concept of OTASIL. Over on to Bipin Kumar Jha.
Thank you.
Dr. Arjun sir, who is chairing this session, is here from Manipal Academy. Yeah, your slide is also visible.
You are audible, you are visible to all of us who are present in this particular big auditorium. 100 plus, 70 plus students and some of the faculty members and
Okay, thank you, sir.
8 to 10.
Hello.
पूर्णं यस्य समस्तमेव भुवने कर्तव्यपुञ्जं स्वकम् येनाकारि समुज्ज्वलं स्वतपसा वंशद्वयं जीवने आदर्शं बुधपुङ्गवं निजकुला चारस्य संरक्षकम् लोकाचार सुधारकं परगुरुं तं दीनबन्धुं भजे नमः सभाभ्यः सभापतिभ्यश्च. The topic for presentation is Google Sanskrit translation tools, its dimensions, and OTASIL online Tatsam analyzing system for Indian languages. In this presentation, I am just trying to bifurcate in 3 points. First, Google Sanskrit translation, and another one will be OTASIL, and finalize the conclusion. So whenever we are talking about computational Sanskrit, we need to think.
Okay, sir. Continue, sir.
So simultaneously, we need to think about development of computer and linguistics, because whenever we are talking about computational Sanskrit, we need to think both in parallel way. So in step by step, Vedic Sanskrit, contemporary Sanskrit, after that Indian linguistics, computational linguistics, then we are talking about artificial intelligence, and whatever I am talking, that is concerned with machine translation, and specifically Google Sanskrit translation, which is introduced recently. So first of all, as we know very well, our Vedic tradition is oral tradition, and it is continued to protect, preserve that Sanskrit legacy. And later on, we find the Vedang, and specifically Pratisakya, Shiksha text, and Chand, Vyakaran, and Nirukt. All these are helpful, and helpful to understand the concept of linguistics. And if we see classical as, then Parani Ashtadhyayi and Vartik of Acharya Katyayan, and Mahabhasya of Patanjali, and later on we see in philosophical texts also. So these are the platform from where it has just started. The journey has been started. Later on, we see that study of linguistics has taken different way, and we find natural natural language processing, and later on we see the artificial intelligence has been introduced. But if we see the base part of this one, we find some scholars who has initiated. And if we see Indian context, we see Acharya Ramakrishna Bhandarkar, he has studied regarding Indo-Aryan vernacular, and what we are emphasizing the idea of Noam Chomsky and other scholars, but we see the Parnian structure, then we can find that the base component was available with us, but when they have initiated, then we are thinking that we can uh, continue in this area. And later on we see one initiative from by Ministry of Communication and Information Technology, and it was given one project for almost for 4 years, and some dignitary institutions, they have appointed to complete the task, the project within those years. So after that, slowly we find there are so many tools, so many different types of studies have been introduced in different institutions, and this is the result that we find Sanskrit in IITs or other institutions also. This is one part. Another part, that is another thing which is not the part of our presentation, but I am focused on computational Sanskrit only. So what we find the most important thing in Ashtadhyayi, because Ashtadhyayi is the core part of our study. So it is highly codified, and abbreviations, pratyahar and all these things, that those have introduced to implement our work, when while we are trying to develop any tool or any specific database. Okay, so now we are trying to understand that what is the goal of research in this field. Okay, so first of all we see that we are working for machine translation, which is uh, not a single uh, specific part of that computational linguistics, but that will be the one component. Okay, so later on, while Google has been introduced Sanskrit translation tools, that is very crucial stage, and that is very helpful to who is not capable to translate Hindi to Sanskrit or other languages to Sanskrit or Sanskrit to English. For those, of course, it is very important. But while we are trying to understand the translation technique, we are knowing that it is based on practice and certain rules, certain norms, and not only it is based on rules, but also you need to understand the source language along with its culture, geographical aspects. In the same way, the target language, you need to understand the context, the culture, the geographical aspects. But unfortunately, what happens when we are doing, uh, we are just trying to translate with the help of machine. At that time, we are forgetting all these things, and normally we say that anudite sati bhasayah atma divangata divangachati. So we can see with the help of this advertisement, while it is translated in another language, then it has been translated in different way, and again if you are trying to translate in Sanskrit, then it is quite different sense what you are expecting. It is the another example. You can find three sentences. If you are translating through the machine, then the result will be quite surprising. Okay, so if it is not useful, then why we are appreciating that Google has introduced Sanskrit translation and it is very useful? Of course, it is useful. Useful for whom? When you are uh, trying to handle any project. In previous time, we have two main uh, manpower. One who will translate and another one who will type that content. But nowadays what we are doing, we are just thinking, we are just reproducing the ideas, and we need to type ourselves. There is no other person to type it. So for that stage it is very helpful, because when you are thinking, you are writing and you are typing, at that time it is very helpful. Okay. So mm, and another thing, to keep the sense as it is. Now amendment, what is needed for on various ground, because it is just increasing its database. When you are putting one sentence, Ramah Jalpati, and if you are not putting full stop, then it is giving the different translation. Okay. In the same way, if you are using Sandhi rules, then it is giving the different translation. If you are giving the long paragraph, then it is quite different translation you will find. Okay. If you are putting the shlok, that is very famous shlok, Ram Rameti Rameti Rame Rame Manodame, you can see the translation, what is it is translation in which way. So now there is a question that how to maintain quality translation. For that, Google itself working on amendments, and it is increasing database. If we are giving the whole translation, which is manually translated to manually translated, and another hand, if Google will translate it, and at the end, if we are analyzing both translations, and we can rectify the rules which has been introduced by Google, then it will take the database, and it can increase its efficiency. Because it is very helpful if you are using textbook translation or proverb translation or any specific sense translation, then it is very difficult. Okay. So we need to compare machine translation and manual translation. Normally what happens nowadays, reviewer is just machine, but a reviewer is just one appointed person. If that condition, when reviewer will be the machine, at that time we can get specific translation. Okay. So for that, so that Google is helpful, but we need specific amendment in that database. Now a second part, I have just introduced one tool which has been developed by me, that was OTAS, but now it is increased for all languages. OTAS was for just Hindi, online Tatsam analyzing system for Hindi, but now it is expanded for all Indian languages. And for those I have given the certain specific conditions why I have started this project, and why I have in which way I have presented this one, and what is the necessity according to our Indian constitutions, and in the same way, what will be if we are using the OTASIL, then what in which way it will help while you are doing your translation, either manually or as machine translation. Okay. So all these things I have prepared on the basis of grammatical rules, that is प्रातिपदिकार्थ लिंग परिमाण वचन मात्रे अर्थवत धातु प्रत्यय प्रातिपदिकम, and the classification of tatsam words. Classification of tatsam words, because nowadays we are finding only one tatsam words, but in literature we are finding the different types of tatsam words. So we need to see in all aspects. So now at the end we can say that it is taking as different scripts as an input, and it is analyzing, and later on it is giving the output as either it is ambiguous or not. And if it will be used for another tool, then it will be helpful while you are doing machine translation. So I am just skipping this demonstration because we have a certain specific time, and at the end we can say that we need to think about what we have, what we have to achieve, and what we will hand over to the next generation. So in this regard, computational Sanskrit has a vast area, and we can do the much more what we are thinking right now. Thank you all of you to giving opportunity to speak on in this topic, and uh, later on we will see the next presentation. Thank you all of you.